oh man, I look good in pink, don't I? You know, today I was at Macy's. I was buying this new shirt and a couple others that are also V-necks, plain color, because I'm that kind of guy. As I was going through the mall, you know, I've got my little. It's not even really a proper man bun. It's kind of just. It looks weird. I know it does, but I kind of like it. I like this kind of laid back, weird look with my hair. I don't really mind, but I realized as I was in Macy's amongst the public, I realized that I minded a little bit. I became hyper worried that people were judging me because of my slightly odd hairstyle. Yeah, I picked this hairstyle. I know it's kind of odd and unconventional and that it could draw criticism from people. I know that when I pick it. And yet, it still doesn't make it easier when I go out and I'm like worried. Like, are people looking at me? Are they going to laugh at me? Are they going to point at me behind my back? The worst is the little kids, because little kid. This is what I really don't like about little kids, is that they'll just say if something looks weird to them, they'll just be like, "Mommy, why does that guy, is that guy a man, a woman? Why does that guy have weird hair? Why is that guy so ugly?" Not to throw my parents under the bus, but they're hypercritical of people's appearance. And so growing up, even though they never directed this criticism at me, I grew up getting the message that strangers are talking about you behind your back about how you look. You know, in my mind, I judge people, sure, but it's silent. I don't have to say it. I don't take any pleasure in roasting someone else's appearance. It just doesn't make sense. And a lot of that is because I am so insecure. I feel like people are always judging me and thinking that I look stupid. But then I had this weird thought. I was like, I fantasized. Just go with me here. It's weird, but I fantasized to myself, like, what if I had millions of subscribers on YouTube and I was like a famous YouTuber? Then all of a sudden I wouldn't care what these people thought, because it's like, hey man, I'm Frank James. I look weird because I am, you know, this cool dominant guy. You know, I can do whatever I want. I can look however I want. And I thought how ridiculous that is, because I'm the same person either way. So what if people, you know, this idea of fame or whatever, it's like all of a sudden I'm accepted by a bunch of people, and so now I have the validation I need. Whereas now, just being a normal guy, I mean, I've got some followers, yeah, but let's not kid ourselves. I'm still just a regular Joe. I'm very insecure. I care so much about what people think, and it's like this fear of rejection by the group based on something shallow, which is weird. Why do I care? You know, and I thought about it in another way. Like, say you saw some guy who's like kind of dumpy looking. He's wearing some weird clothes. He looks like a bum. You see him walking through the mall and you're like, hey, look at that guy there. And you're making fun of this guy. And then someone says to you, oh man, that's that famous country singer. That guy's famous. All of a sudden, you might still think he looks ridiculous, but all of a sudden you'd be like, oh my gosh, maybe I shouldn't have made fun of him. He's cool. It's got to have something to do with some kind of tribal thing, I think, where when we see someone who doesn't quite fit in their looks and their appearance, or someone who's like ugly or undesirable looking, we like judge and ridicule them without them knowing, as a way of saying, man, we're part of the group. We know what looks good. This guy's an idiot. Let's not do that. But if it turns out all of a sudden that that person is super successful, then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, maybe I should follow him because he's successful. He doesn't look like me, but clearly he's doing something right. And so now I need to respect his decision to look weird. I think this is why you get so many weird trends set by like famous people, especially musicians and stuff. These weird fashion statements, because If it was just a normal person wearing it, you'd say that person's an idiot. But when it's a famous person, you're like, the leaders, the dominant people in our society are showing what does it look like to be successful. You know, I think back to when I was in grad school, and that was like the high point of my life. And I think it was because I felt like super successful and competent within this system, and I was at the top. Man, like everyone in my department or whatever respected me and thought I was good at what I was doing in school. And I was extremely confident. I didn't care what I looked like. I thought I looked great no matter what I wore or how I did my hair or whatever. I just didn't care. But now that I'm in the world and don't have any like clear signs of being, you know, the toppermost of the poppermost, you know, you get insecure. So yeah, what I want to talk about next is building each other up, and then I also want to talk about on my ride home from the mall, the song I listened to that made me cry. So let's take a quick commercial break, and then I'll talk about that. Are you tired of children making hurtful comments about your appearance? Sign up for a premium subscription at thislittlekids.biz and get the perfect comeback insult, sure to make that little kid never want to go out in public ever again. Thanks for sitting through the commercial. I think that it's good to build people up with compliments about their appearance. Now, some people don't like this. I want to see how much I can stir up the crowd here. It's a little controversial because I know that some women really don't like it when men compliment anything that has to do with their appearance, because it's like too forward. It's like coming on to them. It's creepy. Yeah, it's creepy if you go up to a girl, if you're a guy, and say, hey, nice hair. You know, it's a little weird. I mean, it depends. You should be... I take it for granted that I can read people really well and kind of know what I can get away with. I think that it's good, though, to compliment people's appearance. And it doesn't have to be anything big. It can just be like, hey, I like your pocket square. And to the men out there, when you're complimenting ladies, compliment something that they took the time to pick out and wear. And if you don't want to be creepy, pick an accessory like a bracelet or, you know, their umbrella. Something that's not too personal. Ultimately, what I'm trying to say is we should be building each other up, not tearing each other down. Stop talking about people's appearance negatively, because even if you don't know this stranger that you're ragging on, you're sowing seeds in everyone's mind that everyone else is talking about you behind your back. And it's not right. It ain't right. At any rate, on the drive home, I was listening to Paul McCartney, as I do. First of all, he has a new song out called I Don't Know. It's like lyrically one of his best songs. The first lines are, I got crows at my window, dogs at my door. It's this incredible dark image of like chaos visiting him. What's incredible about Paul's late work, like in the last 15 years, is that he has allowed himself to face darker things in his life. If you look at the Beatles, there's not much darkness there. I mean, Let It Be is about as dark as it gets. He's not getting very personal in that. He's just like, when I find myself in times of trouble, and then he moves on. Wings, he was never really negative or self-reflecting, but his last few albums, he's always talking about thinking about the past. He's talking about all these things that are going wrong in his life and how he's still learning. I mean, the guy's 75 and he's just now looking at all this, but he's also like learned so many lessons along the way. It's fascinating to see where his songwriting has gone. I was listening to a song from 10 years ago. It's hard to believe that it was 10 years ago, off of Memory Almost Full. That album is called The End of the End. And there were these lyrics that just got to me, and I started crying. And I don't cry often, guys. I cry like at most once a year. Maybe it's unhealthy. That's just what. And this song, it got like 2 tears out of me, and like one sob, like one choke, and then it was over. But the lines are, on the day that I die, I'd like jokes to be told and stories of old to be rolled out like carpets that children have played on and laid on while listening to stories of old. It's such a beautiful, like, it's so simple. This is the thing about Paul and his lyrics now. They're so simple. It's like bare bones, but they are going at this depth that, frankly, I don't think that a young man could really write. Like, it takes a guy who's 60 or 70 to look at life from this angle. Well, that was a little bit of a weird vlog, but welcome to my channel. It's weird. Yeah, okay. So, see you tomorrow.
Well, she told me that she wouldn't